Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to create guides for when you're retopologizing a flat mesh in SketchRetopo so that you can see the edge flow. And so I just sort of had this idea like yesterday when I was making another video about SketchRetopo, and I realized this could come in really handy because retopologizing something that's flat often is easier because you can get to certain areas much easier. Like if you're trying to retopologize, say, a dress that has a lot of folds and wrinkles that overlap on each other, or that there's multiple layers, and so that it's just really difficult to retopologize when it's in 3D. And you need to retopologize something that's flat, but yet you're going to try to, or you want to have the edge flow follow the retopology follow the edge flow of the 3D mesh. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Okay, so first you start off with my app. Now this is after you've made your clothes in Marvelous Designer. You've exported out both a flat version and the 3D version out of Marvelous Designer OBJs. So you're going to start off by importing a the flat version. I mean, not the flat version, the 3D version. Okay, and I'm going to hit F on the keyboard. Okay. So here is the Marvelous Designer. If we show wireframe unshaded, you can see this is the Marvelous Designer. And so let's turn that back off because we don't need it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to paint the edge flow, and I like marking specific features where you're going to want an edge loop to be, like underneath the breasts and over the top of the breasts, as kind of like how I showed in the last video I did, which was retopologizing the mesh in 3D in Marvelous Designer. Not Marvelous Designer, SketchRetopo. Okay, so first you need to go into rendering. So by default, you'll probably be on modeling. So go to rendering here, and then go to texturing, right? And you want to open up the options for the 3D paint tool. Although we should probably have that selected first before we do that. So we go to here. Okay. Now, the first thing before you create the texture, you're going to want to save this file. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly save the scene, and I'm just going to tell it to, because I just want it temporary. Delete me. Paint guides video. Okay, so I've saved the scene. Okay, and the first thing you're going to want to do after you do that is in the options, you're going to want to scroll down here, and you're going to want to assign edit textures. Okay, so you click on that, and a 10 by 24 by 10 by 24 texture works just fine. And you want to switch it to ping. Okay, because that's the format, that's the only image format that SketchRetopo supports. Okay, and then you just click Assign Texture. Okay, now you'll notice that, here, let me come down here to Display, and I'm going to turn off Show Wireframe. Okay, now you notice if you didn't do that, you would get it where the brush is, you'd get an X. Okay, the other thing I also did is I came in here to Stroke, and I turned on Reflection, and I turned it on the X, because X is left and right. You can see the X down here, that's left and right. Okay, so you turn on Reflection X, because that way we only have to draw one side, and the other side will be a perfect mirror of it. Okay, so I don't like this dark gray. It's a little bit, you could leave it as dark gray if you really want to, and then just, draw underneath there like that. and that would be fine. But I like a white, so I'm going to Control Z back. So I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to flood paint with this color. So just click flood paint. There we go, and now it's white. This determines the color of your brush. By default, it's up here at white, and so I could have had it gray with white lines, but I just prefer white with black on top. Okay, so like I said, I want to to denote where the bottom of the breasts are. Okay, so I'm going to do the breasts like that underneath, and I want to do the top of the breasts, and you kind of think of a kind of like a bra shape like that, and you want it to come down here and go underneath the armpit, and the same way with here, underneath the armpit like that, like so. In fact, let me Control Z back, because that's going to be a little bit too squished right in here. So I'm going to bring it more straight back like this. Okay. And then I'm going to bring it around to where it meets itself. Okay, same thing with here. Okay. And if you need to erase something, you can just hold down the Control key, and that will give you the opposite color. Okay. And so, and it didn't quite make it here, so there we go. Okay, these are just give us general guidelines, you know, and if you remember from the other video, this is kind of what I did with the other video, as far as an edge loops were concerned. Okay, well, the real thing is, like I said, if you come in here, we can see this is the edge flow. You know, so you think of a fold or a wrinkle is like a hill, right? And you want the edge flow to be flowing straight down the top of that hill. And you can say, okay, so it kind of goes like that, it kind of goes like that, okay, for the edge flow, and that will kind of mark our edge flow, okay, so that we know where it's going. Okay, so we're just sort of marking our edge flow. Okay, the other part is I like to make sure I know where the bottom of the butt is. Okay, and I'm not quite happy with how, there we go. Okay, so that's going to mark the bottom of the butt, and you want to kind of mark the top of the butt as well. So you're going to go like, okay, so here's the top of the butt. Okay, so you know that's the top of the butt. And we're pretty close to being done. The only thing I would do next is, the last thing is, I'm going to scroll down, and remember how we had show wireframe? Okay. You want to make this line thinner, you know. So I'm going to Control, bring that down a little bit, bring that up a little bit. Because we really want where this edge loop goes through here when we're creating our curves to match up as it goes over the seam. Whoops, forgot to hold down Control. Okay, Control. So you don't want a real thick thing there. And then because they're not exactly alike on both sides, you're going to have to come in here to thin this out there and there. Okay, maybe make this just a little bit bigger. Okay. So that now we can see, you know, if it was real thick and you went and you put one edge loop, you put up higher on one side and lower on the other side, they wouldn't meet up. Okay. So now that we've got our edge flows, you know, and some important edge loops defined, you know, we can come here and click Save Textures. Okay, and you can see down here where it was saved. So I would highlight this where it was saved and copy it. Okay, and now we're going to go to over to SketchRetopo. Now I've already brought in the flat version of the dress, and I know this is let's see, this is the back of the dress and this is the front of the dress, and so now I want to load the texture, and because we already copied it, we can just paste that there and then click open. Oh, maybe we have to go here. Invalid. Wait a second. Okay, let's go to there. And we're looking for D-dress shape mesh color pink. There it is. Color pink. Okay, so this is the one we just did. And I'm going to open it. And so here we go. Here we have our edge flow. And we have these edge loops. So this is going to be similar to the last video. I'm just going to, since you've watched the other videos, you can just see what keys I'm pressing here. I'll probably say what mode I'm in and what have you. But I'm going to go into edit corner. No, I'm sorry. Basic sketching. Hold down the B key. This defines that. And now I'm going to go into edit corner mode and control these to put the corners in just like before. Whoopsie. I didn't get it quite close enough. There we go. Okay, and here, 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 here. And I'm just kind of doing this quickly. Oops, missed. Control Z. There, there, there. Might as well do it over here too. Oops, missed. Missed it again. There we go. There, there. Okay, so we got those in. So basic sketch mode, and I'm going to draw that from there to there. Whoops. Go a little bit farther. There to there. Shift. Smooth it a little bit. Go into the laser. E for the laser. Oh, it says tab. That's because I have a program that makes tab the left mouse button, and I shouldn't be using the tab during the video, otherwise you don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, so on my, I have a little, it's, because I use a trackball most of the time, and a lot of times with the trackball, it's easier to have, to hold tab down and have your hand where you can just worry about your right hand moving the trackball. And so it because sometimes holding a button down and moving the trackball at the same time with the same hand can get a little wonky. Not wonky, but just more difficult. It's just slightly easier, slightly more accurate. But I'll try not, I'm going to get my hand on the mouse here instead. Okay, so okay, now I'm on the regular mouse. Okay, so let's see. So okay, we're still in laser, so let's see, there's the point right there, right? And we're going to want to go from that point there across to that point And you saw it landed pretty good from there to there. Ooh, it kind of jumped. Let's see if we can't get that to go a little bit better. There. Oh, I wonder why it wants to keep jumping. Interesting. Okay, let's try. Well, let's just leave it like that. We got it as close as we could to the light. Let's try it one more time. There. It didn't. Oh, come on. There. To there. It keeps wanting to jump. There, that's better. Okay, so it's even, which is the most important part, and it's right there. Okay. So, oh, see, I keep hitting the tab button. Stop it. I'm so used to having my left hand on the tab. Okay, left mouse button. There. Okay, and that's nice and even. And we'll do there to there, and that's nice and even. So these, we know, are going to line up really nice with these over here. Okay. And we can do a laser from there to there. Oh, why didn't it go all the way across? There. Okay. Let's try basic sketch mode. That is bizarre. What's going on here? What? It is bizarre. What's going on? It is a beta program after a while, but I've never had that happen. Let's try doing the laser from there straight down to there. See, it did create it, but it's not filling it up. Basic sketch mode. Well, this is a good thing, I guess. You've shown that this will crash. I'm going to close the program and restart it. Hold on. Okay, so got it back. I'm going to try just to redo this completely. Deform the curves. Get these all out here so that I can go to basic sketching, see. Let's go to, move vertex. Oh, okay, so I gotta do it with deform curve. Come on. Just to get these all out here. Okay, and basic sketching. C on the keyboard. If I hit clear, there's in here you can hit clear, but that's going to get rid of everything, and I don't want to start off from scratch completely. Okay, B key. Okay, I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to get this back to where it was before, but you don't have to watch it. Hold on. Okay, so we're back here, so I'm going to see if we can't make sure that this is working okay, and do the laser. E for laser, bring that straight down. Good, we have that. Back, basic sketch mode. Looks like we lost some stuff here, so I'm just going to reconnect that back to there, and reconnect this to there. Okay, hit Control S on the keyboard, and we got it saved. Okay. But now we need to, let's see, okay, so we need to get this, okay, let's see, there's 2, 4, 6, so if we make these 6, okay, and these should be 4, we know these are going to be 4. Let's just get these to 4. Okay, and these over here are 6. And those are 6, so we can go 4, 4, 4. Oh, those are 6, those are 4. Okay, so these just need to be 6, 4, 4. Okay. So now we should be able to, oh, we got to bring in the texture again. Load texture. If it's still in my, there we go. Whoops. That's not what I wanted. I guess I have to, if you put the whole name in, you got it. Okay, then it takes us to the right one. Double click on it. Okay, so we got this back in. Okay, I'm going to Control, oh, good, there's no asterisk, so it just saved. So Control save again. Okay, let's go back to laser and see if we can't get this to go. That looks good. I'm going to Control save that before I do the next one, because it's the one that was giving us all the trouble. There we go. Alrighty. That was fun. Okay, so I'm going to Control S again to save it. Okay, so now we have this edge flow, you know, to worry about. So it's real easy. I could go with a laser and go like, we know it's going to go like in this direction, you know, kind of like that, and let go. And then we could go into the basic sketch mode, C on the, or no, C on the keyboard, I'm sorry. Come on, fingers, work. Okay, hold down C, get rid of that. T for edit corner, Control to turn it red, Control again to delete it. And then this side here is going to be a little more tricky. We got to do that with basic sketching. So we are going to start there and there. Shift to smooth it. Okay. So we're getting our edge flow to go this way and this way. And so now we can start to, you know, figure out the edges. Like 6, that is not enough. That's not going to be enough. It might be okay for the front, but even for the front, I would go more. So if we, so I think, so if you hold down the Control key, okay, we can see 6, 6, and these are 4. So let's do this to 6. So we have the same amount. And I already know that this is not going to be enough because I can tell. So let's go 8, 10. Okay. And this is not enough here. So let's go here, here, here. Might as well go up to here and here and go from 6, 8, 10. Should be enough. Actually, yeah, because, well, let's see. No, let's go with 8, because that's 16 across. And then we also got to see, are these match up? No. 14, that might be a little bit too few. So let's go 14, 14, and 14, and go to 16, which means these, if I hold down the control key, it will select all 3 of those. And we know we need to make it the same for here and here. Okay. And then we can look at that and say, okay, that's 10, and this is 14. That's probably too much. We go 10 there as well, so that looks okay. Okay, and we do know, okay, so this is the back, okay. We do know that underneath the armpits, here, this is underneath the armpits, these are going to be 4. Okay, so we increase those, oops, I must have missed 4. Okay, so we make sure that they're 4 and 4. This is already 4 and 4, so that's good. We know that this is the back, that the opening is bigger on the neck there and on the back for the shoulder areas. And so, let's see, that's 4, that should be 6, so now they're even. 6, 6, 4, 6, 6. Okay, but we know that's not going to be enough. So let's try 8. Let's try 10. Okay, because we're making the high poly version. We're going to try to make our high poly version using this, not doing a low poly version. Okay, so then the front side isn't as much. So if the back side was 10, because we know the front side of the mesh, doesn't cover as much area. So let's make this 8. Okay, so we got 8 there. Okay, this is 4. This is good. That's 4. That's good. But this back here, that's not nearly enough. So it's 4. Let's try 6. Okay, or let's try, well, let's see. Well, we'll see. We might try a higher number later. Okay, now the breast area, like we did before in the other video, this has to be much higher than 2. So this is going to be more like 12. Okay, and remember the sides here and here are going to be 2 less than 12, you know, so that means these are going to be 10. Okay. Okay. And that's not enough. 2 is not enough. 4, probably not enough. Let's go 6. Okay. And we know this waist area is going to need more than 2. Okay, we're going to have to do a minimum of 4 in the edge loops in that area. Okay. And we can come in here to edit curve, and we can start to try to get these closer to what we see here. So we're pushing that up and then we're curving it. You can even maybe pull this up a little bit. Okay. Same way with this, we can push that up just a little bit like that. And we can pull these down like that. And then smooth it by holding the shift key down. Smooth it by holding the shift key down. And there we go. Okay, same way with here. We can pull this down a little bit maybe. And we can pull this down. And we can pull that like that. And that like that. And smooth it. Smooth it. So it's more following the curves. Maybe bring this down. and smooth it a bit more. Okay, because we're just trying to recreate sort of the edge flow that we kind of determined on the mesh when we painted it. Okay, and we can maybe bring this down a little bit. Okay, and this we can bring kind of down so it's not just a sharp V, and then smooth, and then smooth. Okay, and this is now, okay, now actually let's see, let's look at this curve. Okay, deform curve. It comes way below the butt line, so that's maybe a little bit too low. Okay, and so we can bring that back up, and then we can pull this back like that, smooth it a little bit. Smooth it a little bit. Okay, that's better. Now that, and we can go here, and we don't need this to be, let's try lowering this. Instead of it being 16 all the way across, we can lower it to say 14. Okay, let's see, or 12. Probably 14 because we need enough detail in the butt area to make sure. Deform curve, maybe pull that up a little bit more. And we're still got decent edge flow through here. Maybe deform this down just a little bit more like that. Smooth it a little bit more. It looks okay in this area. Okay, and then we can kind of go, okay, maybe this doesn't need to be quite so, because what we're going to want to is we're going to eventually want, because the nice thing about Marvelous Designer is that if you look at the baseline mesh, right, and base mesh only, you can see that the triangles are pretty evenly spread out. Okay, so everything is pretty evenly spread out, all the triangle count, the density, so that our mesh, we want it fairly evenly spread out, except for the area that we know we want it to be dense, which is the breast area. And so I'm trying to see if this is enough, you know. Probably let's go to 6 so that we know we have enough area, because if these poles, if these quads and these poles get too big, you're going to get poked through. So that actually looks halfway decent. Okay, but now we're going to, now that we got pretty much our counts down, you know, that we have our counts down, we can start to move these poles around and then smoothing to get where we want. So A, for edit topology, we can start to think about, okay, that's the bottom of the butt. Where can we move these poles? You know, maybe something like that. These poles. Okay, so here this is good to do on the breast area. I like to put the poles more in the middle, but over to the side. I don't like putting it right there on the curve. So I'll do one less, and then I try to make it symmetrical on the other side. Okay, and then try to make, is that middle? I think that's the middle, and then we can bring that back a little bit. And do the same thing for this side. Although something looks different. Wait a minute. Edit topology. I think that's 4 when it should be 6. There we go. That's 6. And this should be 6. Okay. And then bring it down. Now it's going with the mouse for a change. Okay. And see, here's an instance where it's not symmetrical. So if I click here and select it, and then hit the B key, B, and now it's symmetrical. Okay. Let's see. It's kind of stretched out, so let's go B. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to do the B key again. And then, now that it's symmetrical, I can hit the X key to bring them closer together, because the yellow line was there. So let's do that. X key, bring them together. That looks better. Okay, they're not being so stretched out so much. And we can even, let's try B on this. See if there's a different, see, I like that better. So I just clicked it once. Let's go B key, click it once, twice to get it like that. There we go. I like that better. Okay. So we're getting the edge flow. We're getting edge flow pretty good. We've got the counts pretty good. I'm not real thrilled with this area. Let's just see if we can't find something that's more interesting. See, I could, and see, I can't drag it. There's no arrows, and I can't drag it. So my only other option is to hit the B key and keep hitting it until it starts to change, and I see something that's interesting. So see if I can't get something more interesting. No, no, no. Well, that actually doesn't look too bad. Let's do that on this side. Oh, B, not V. And that's the same. But if we select here, can we increase it or decrease? No. Oh. Yeah, maybe the original is better. Maybe the original was better. Like I said, you can hit the B key and see if you can't find a different solution that looks more interesting. But sometimes, lots of times, most of the time, it seems that that it's just the original one that turns out to be the best. See, even though the curve has changed, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't quite change the stuff inside. Okay, so now that we've got our edge flow, and that's okay. We can start to smooth, so go D for smooth, hold down the shift key, and why aren't you smoothing? There it goes. Sometimes when it's so evenly distributed, there's nothing much to smooth. Now, you just got to be very careful as you get close to the edge. That's where you have to be the most careful. Is when you're getting close to the edge. You don't want that ball, that transparent sphere, to go over the edge. Otherwise, you'll start to move the curve off of the mesh, and these points that line up here to connect will be messed up. So I'm holding down the right key to. And so I'm smoothing. Yeah, it looks like we've got pretty even density. That's why it really hasn't moved much. And now if I wanted to, at this point, if I wanted to sort of push these in the right direction so that they're a little more lining up with the edge flow, and then just smooth it just ever so slightly. I'm going to smooth it just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just trying to get these edge flows to flow. That looks pretty good. Whoops. Okay. And come here. Smooth this out a little bit. And that looks pretty good. Not sure if this point right here, well, that won't be too bad, because if when you do a triangulate, it should go right through here, lots of times, many times, I'm not sure if this pole configuration where you have two poles on top of each other so that you have kind of this star pattern here is particularly all that great. Oops, wait a minute. I just wanted to shift smooth. There we go, just a little bit. And we can kind of pull that down. And then smooth it. Smooth it just a little bit. Okay. Okay. And this looks pretty good. Let's see if we can push that up just a little bit. Smooth it. Push that up just a little bit. Smooth it. Whoops, didn't want to smooth that part. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Okay. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. Maybe smooth this a little bit. Okay. Okay. So overall, I think that looks pretty good. And so let's export it out. Export retopo mesh. We'll go to desktop. Okay. Paging with guides. Video. Okay. So let's go back here to Maya and we can import that. Okay, we don't need the here. We're not painting on it anymore, so let's go. We need to go to modeling, merge. Okay. Object mode, soften edge. Okay, we got that. I often like to delete history. Delete history. Okay, let's put on its own layer. And we'll put this on its own layer. Okay, and then let's import the flat version that has the UVs on it. Okay, and we'll put that on its own layer. There's the flat mesh. Put on its own layer. Okay, so we're going to now, what we're going to do, is we're going to copy the UVs from the flat to the retopo version. And I have my transfer attributes already open. And we're going to use world space. We're going to copy the current UV set. And it came over. Cool. And I like to go immediately to delete history. And now we can see the retopo dress now has the UVs of the original. And if it doesn't look like that and it's all jaggedy, all you have to do is, what that means is the flat version, just go into UV mode, select border, no, not select border textures, just select all the UVs, and then go to cut and sew merge. Okay, cut and sew merge, because it means that the flat dress that these UVs, if I were to select one UV, you'd see over here it would say UVs 2 instead of just 1. It means that they weren't merged together. I think that's what unified means when you export out a Marvelous Designer. So if they're not merged, you won't get a nice connected curve. It will be all jaggedy and funky looking. So okay, so now we're done with that one. We can hide the flat. See, we had the flat. This is the flat. And so we can hide that one and go to object mode. Okay, so now what we can do, now when you're transferring UVs, you have to have both meshes visible. Okay, you have to have both meshes visible, otherwise it doesn't see the UVs of the flat or where it's going, because it's using world space, I guess. So it has to be visible in world in order for it to see it. I'm guessing that's the reason. But you can, however, if let's hide the flat version. Okay. Now this is the new one. We can, however, you don't have to show visible the 3D mesh, and then hold Control to select that. The flat, our retopo version, we're going to be doing vertex positions now, not UVs, but we're going to be using the UVs, and you click apply, and boom. Okay, and again, while they're both while one or the other is selected, make sure you hit delete history so that so that can be disconnected. Unless, if you see a problem here, well, no, everything should still be fine. Okay, yeah, because we had our UVs were set fine. So yeah, definitely do delete history right away. So we delete history so that it's not an issue anymore. Okay, so now you can see, now I'm going to go to use default materials so that we can just see it without the texture on it. It's just easier to see. Now you can see how well they match up. You know, if we go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is that edge loop, and you can see that these all match up on the left and right really nice. They line up perfectly because we made an effort in SketchRetopo to make sure that we connected our curves. See, that's slightly above where this line is, and there's that line, and we got it as close as we could, slightly above it. And these were right on, and look, so they just come out perfect. If we deselect, okay, so now we got to merge. You can see that hard edge there. So let's merge the mesh together. Let's see, merge. Okay. And let's soften the edge. It appears that it all merged together. Let's see over here. We don't see any hard, oh, we missed a little place right there. Okay. We missed a little bit right here. So what we're going to do, with that out of the way, we're going to hit the poly merge vertex under channel box, and we can increase this distance. So let's say we go to like 0.5, and you saw it snap together. Now you want to keep an eye out. If you go too big, things will start merging together where they're close together, where vertices are close together. So you want to take a quick peek, make sure it doesn't, oh, looks like something happened here. Something happened right there. So let's try, come on, 0.4. There we go. See, got it to unmerge, but did we still have this section together? And it still merged over here. Okay, worst case scenario, having to I'm just going to soften the edge just to be on the safe side. Worst case scenario, you'd have to merge a few vertices manually together. And so, but it looks like it did a great job. Only thing I'd probably do is I'll delete the history. Delete history. Okay, only thing I'd probably do is Sculpt Geometry tool. I'd smooth this a little bit, or if you want to make sure you're staying on, yeah, I'd probably relax it. I'm sorry, I'd probably relax it just in here a little bit, and then relax it a little bit, and then after you relax it, you would then want to select the UVs, and you'd want to come in here to modify, and is it unfold? Where you unfold to world? No, it's not this one. I think it's optimize to world space, I believe it is, so that the UVs update. If I do that now, what happens? No, cannot find procedure. My version of Windows 2020 is missing a file. I gotta find it and fix it. But anyway, what that does is it will update the UVs to where, since you in Sculpt Geometry tool, since you've relaxed the mesh just slightly, so that the UVs for these update to reflect where they are in here now. Because then what I would do is I would copy the shape over again. I transfer attributes, the shape over again to make sure that even though it's relaxed and it's probably close to where it would be on the real 3D shape, by transferring over the shape again, you need to have the UVs updated to the world setting or whatever. Like I said, I wish mine, like I said, I don't think it's layout. Is it layout? No. Stretch it might be this one. I'll have to remember. I can't remember. But it might be prescale to world. I don't think it's this one. But anyway, but it will update the UVs so that when you transfer the shape again using the UVs, it won't snap. So if I were to relax it and I transfer the UVs, transfer the shape again through the UVs from the original one, this would all pop right back into the place where it was before. But you know, it came out really nice. And we got nice edge flow through here. Got nice edge flow through there. We got enough detail on the butt. Now, if you needed to, see, this is a nice thing about perfect quads, is like say you want, you need it to be a little bit smoother along here. Okay, this is probably fine, but say you did, you could insert edge loop tool, which is, let's see, insert edge loop. I think it's under, yeah, insert edge loop tool. Okay, so you can do the insert edge loop tool. I put it on multiple edges and then say just one edge. That way it will go, when you insert it, it will go right with 50-50. Okay, and say we go there, and that's probably the only place you really need to insert an edge loop. Possibly. Well, let's do one there, and let's do one there. And then we'll do it on the other side here, and here. And it's nice because it will go straight up. Now we have an end gone here, but what we could do is we could then go here to there, and oops, G on the keyboard to redo the split there to there. Okay, and of course you'd want to soften the edges again, soften edge, and then we would want to object mode. We'd want to transfer attributes the shape again, and so watch. See, it smoothed it. Okay. And you could say, okay, it looks like there might not be enough here. So we could, insert edge loop tool again. And we can go here. Oh, look at it, it went all the way around. Oh, that's interesting. And because it was symmetrical, it went all the way around. Now, we could either, at some point, connect, so there's a connection here or here, so that we don't have this whole extra edge flow going all over. If we really wanted to do that. You know, so you can make edits, you know, you can, you know, so that you're just not adding a whole bunch of quads that you don't need to. But then again, like I said, then after you did that, you would again just transfer attributes. Oh, wait a minute, something happened. Oh, it's because I'm still in that mode. Okay, I'm not in select mode. Okay, and now if we watch this go here, there we go. That's smoother. So that's the great thing about SketchRetopo, is that it makes perfect quads. So if you need to add an edge loop, you can add an edge loop really easily. You know, and that looks actually pretty good. Now, we just happen to need an edge loop going up over the breast to get a better, nicer curve. You know, we could also, if we wanted this to be a little bit smoother here, you could go here, here, and just manually cut them in. You know, manually cut it in, or we could start to manually cut it in, go here to here, right, and hit enter, hit G on the keyboard to replace, go here to here, and then insert edge loop, okay, and then just connect these two. G on the keyboard to repeat. And then we can then transfer the attributes again. Since we've been doing the same transfer attributes, so we can just go transfer attributes. There we go. And you saw it move slightly. Didn't really make, Control Z back, and Control Y. or Control Z. Wait a minute. Okay. So it really didn't make a big difference. Splitting in these extra edges. Although, let's see. Let's soften the edge again. Oh, I'm sorry. Display mesh. Where's display mesh? Soften edge. Let's delete the history. And then let's transfer attributes again. And we're using these from wall space. Yep. And apply. And we transferred it. And let's delete the history. It didn't seem to make that much of a difference here. But when somebody has bigger breasts, it would make a difference. You know, if they had their breasts really huge. So, like I said, so you can just add some edge loops here and there to add detail. If we were like looking here, we could do the same thing if we wanted to have a little more detail going along here and make that a little bit rounder. We could. So you can just add a little few edges here and there just to add a little bit more detail. Like if we, let's see, if we wanted her waist to be a little more defined, we could, let's mesh tool, insert edge loop tool here. We could say, okay, what about adding an edge loop there to make her waist just a little more defined there and there. You know, and as you see, it just added, and in this case, we got the bonus of an extra edge loop here. And then if we go first let's select this object mode and delete history, and then we can transfer the attributes. Let's get this in position here and see how much of a difference it makes. So, mesh tool, transfer attributes, and we got a little bit more of definition of her waist there. Okay. So that her waist was a little bit smoother. Okay. And so what we end up with, let's see, let's look at the 3,200 triangles. Pretty good, pretty good. We could probably cut down some of those triangles by, you know, this edge loop that we added in that came all the way around and back. We could, like I said, at one of these points, take any edge loop and have it just go over to the corner to create a triangle. You know, and then deleted this edge loop that went all the way around the back. And that would save some. That's if you want to go through that much trouble, you can. The other thing is we could take this mesh and subdivide it in a program such as, say, ZBrush or 3D Coat, and or you could, in Marvelous Designer, lower the particle distance to a really small particle distance. This is 20. This is like the default. You can lower the particle distance so these triangles are a lot smaller. And then after you lower the particle distance, run the simulator, the physics simulator. In it, that's the simulator that shows the clothes as it hits the avatar body so that it's colliding with the avatar body. If you just run it for a few seconds, it will make these folds and wrinkles a lot smoother, you know, than here. So then what you can do is you can then bring that in here, and because it has the same UVs, you can transfer the shape over again to this one to have things be a bit smoother, you know. So you could do that, or like say you could take it into ZBrush and and subdivide it and use the tools in ZBrush or 3D Coat and sculpt it. You can also use the sculpt geometry tools and some of the sculpting tools in Maya itself to smooth things out and so that when you copy over the shape again, that this will become smoother. Like this is the line that we added, and it didn't really add that much, but maybe if this was overall smoother, it would add more detail, better detail, and end up being a better shape. So yeah, so this actually turned out quite nice, and you saw how I, let's see, right now we're at 110 minutes. When I retopologized the 3D mesh, I think it was an hour and 40 minutes or something like that, so it can still be a little bit faster. Now the 3D, doing it on the 3D mesh itself, you can see a little bit better, how things are going to be affected. You don't really know how things are going to be affected until you make this the 3D shape. So there's still it's still of great advantage to retopologize in 3D, as I showed in my last video. But sometimes, like I said, sometimes you'll have a ruffles. You can have a dress that has a strip of ruffles which are like layered on top of each other, which would just be impossible to retopologize in 3D because they're over top of each other, they're touching each other, and it just becomes a nightmare. Yes, you could probably export each ruffle as a 3D object separately, and retopologize them separately, but retopologizing on the flat and knowing what the quad count on where they all sew together, making sure that they match, and seeing the edge flow, and if you, by doing the painting of the the edge flow that you want, that you can get really close, and maybe even, if you're careful enough, get it just right. And so, yeah, so retopologizing something that's flat is somewhat easier. Anyway, it's just another tool in your toolbox. It's just something else that's in your toolbox that gives you an option. It's always great to have different ways of solving problems. It's always nice to have that, so that when one way of retopologizing or doing something doesn't work, you have another way of doing it that may not be your favorite, but can do the job easier and faster than the way you normally do it because of circumstances. So awesome. Alrighty. Well, I guess that's just about it for this video. I found this method quite enjoyable and was quite amazed the first time I tried it how well it actually turned out. How it actually followed the guides. So I was actually, like I said, very pleasantly surprised at how well it did. Just a few basic guides on the flat mesh to know where certain edge loops you wanted them to be, and where the edge flow was, and where the bottom of the butt was, and so if you had something that had a lot more folds and wrinkles in it, you could really just draw the lines to show where the folds of the wrinkles were, and to make sure that your edge flow followed those. So awesome. Alrighty. Well, I hope you stuck around through the the whole video, and I hope you find this video informative and useful. Awesome. Have a great day. Thanks. See you in the next video.